So this case starts in a basement, a family home in Albany Township, Pennsylvania. Basements are usually just storage or a place for kids to play. This one had a support beam, some chairs, and a wire dog leash. It's September 2019. A mom calls 911, frantic. She says she found her two kids, 8-year-old Connor and 4-year-old Brinley, hanging in the basement. And she already has an explanation ready. Her son was bullied so badly that he decided to end his own life, and he didn't want his little sister to be left behind. That's the story she tells. But it starts falling apart almost immediately. The house was on Route 143. Nothing about it stood out. Inside lived Lisa Snyder, 36, and her 3 kids, a 17-year-old son plus Connor and Brinley. September 23rd, 2019, a regular afternoon. Connor came home from school. His bus driver later said he had a smile on his face, waved to his friends. Then just before 4:30 p.m., Lisa calls 911. She says she just found them in the basement, hanging from a beam. She tells the dispatcher her son had been bullied, had talked about doing this, and didn't want to die alone. Emergency crews get there in 11 minutes. What they walk into sticks with them forever. Both kids are in cardiac arrest. They're hanging from one plastic-coated wire dog leash wrapped around a ceiling beam. 2 tall, bar-height wooden chairs are knocked over on their sides. They manage to resuscitate both children and rush them to the hospital. For 3 days, Connor and Brinley are on life support, but the damage is too severe. On September 26th, they're taken off life support and pronounced dead. The coroner rules both deaths a homicide by hanging. Right away, investigators start digging. And the more they ask around, the less Lisa's story holds up. She describes Connor as an angry, depressed kid, bullied, not eating, suicidal. But people who actually knew him say something totally different. His older brother calls him happy-go-lucky, says everyone liked him. School staff say he seemed fine, had friends. And here's the kicker. School bus surveillance from that very afternoon shows Connor getting off the bus looking totally normal. No signs of distress. When family members asked Connor directly about bullying, because Lisa had told them about it, he seemed confused, said he liked his friends. The district attorney later put it bluntly, there was no evidence of bullying whatsoever. Then there's the physical reality. An occupational therapist who worked with Connor testified that he had physical disabilities. He couldn't easily work a leash clasp or tie a complex knot. In her professional opinion, Connor simply wasn't capable of doing that to himself or to his little sister. That's not a guess, it's medical evidence. But the really damning stuff came from Lisa's own online searches. 6 days before the kids were found, she searched, carbon monoxide in a car, how long to die. A few days later, she looked up episodes of a true crime show called I Almost Got Away with It. Then the day before the hangings, the searches got explicit. Hanging yourself, plus a visit to a website describing a short drop, simple suspension, exactly what was found in her basement. That same day, she ordered a cable dog leash, the exact same kind used in the hangings. The next morning, just hours before she called 911, she picked it up from a Walmart. And even after that, she was still searching, this time about killing with a hybrid car's exhaust. That was before 11:30 a.m. on the day her children died. There's also a second phone. Investigators learned Lisa had a Samsung Galaxy Note 9. They believe she used it to order the leash, but when they asked for it, Lisa said she lost it on the very day the kids were found. That phone has never turned up. A silent witness, gone at the most critical moment. Days after the kids died, Lisa sat down with state police for a 2-hour recorded interview. No lawyer. For most of it, she stuck to her story, teary saying her son was suicidal. But when the investigators pushed on the inconsistencies, things changed. They asked her directly if she killed her children. Then they said, it's clear something else happened. That's when Lisa's demeanor shifted. She wanted to stop. She asked for a lawyer. One investigator warned her that if she walked out, everyone would think she's a child killer. She walked out anyway. Lisa was arrested in December 2019, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, plus child endangerment and evidence tampering. Her defense team signaled an insanity defense, said she had a long history of severe mental disorders, including a 2014 episode of homicidal thoughts that had gotten her kids temporarily removed from her care. In late 2023, she tried to plead no contest but mentally ill to third-degree murder. The judge rejected it, saying it wouldn't serve the interests of justice. So it went to trial, September 2024, 5 years to the day after the kids were found. A bench trial, meaning the judge decided, not a jury. The defense called a psychiatrist who said Lisa's history of abuse and mental illness could have pushed her into a psychotic state. The prosecution called their own psychologist, who disagreed. After an hour and 15 minutes of deliberation, the judge found her guilty on all counts, including first-degree murder. The judge later said it was the most violent murder she'd ever seen from the bench. On October 17, 2024, Lisa Snyder got 2 consecutive life sentences without parole, plus additional years on the other charges. She showed no reaction, didn't speak. Legally, justice was served. She'll die in prison. But that doesn't mean the story feels finished, because the big question, why, never got answered. What would make a mother plan something like this, execute it, and then invent a story about bullying and a boy who didn't want to die alone? That motive is still locked up somewhere, maybe forever. And that missing phone, the Samsung, still out there in Albany Township probably. What else was on it? Searches, photos, messages, something that might have given one last terrible piece of the puzzle? Without it, this case will always feel slightly open. What we do know for sure is what was taken. A happy-go-lucky boy who loved his friends. A 4-year-old girl whose life had barely started. Both killed in their own basement by the person who was supposed to protect them. Their older brother, Owen, stood in the courtroom and called Lisa Snyder a monster. Said he doesn't consider her his mother anymore. The system failed Connor and Brinley. There were warning signs, buried in an old case file, in a troubled woman's past, but nobody stopped it. And now all that's left are the questions, a silent basement, and 2 kids who never got to grow up. If this story touched you or gave you something to think about, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button and drop one word in the comments that best describes how you feel right now. And if you want more stories like this delivered straight to you, join our growing community by subscribing and turning on the bell notification. Every single subscriber helps us keep creating meaningful stories that actually matter. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.